We've been out in the cold before, haven't we? Yes. We've been out in the cold a long time. Yes. Back in February of 2011, we were out in the cold. Yes. And they kept us out there for a long time. But in the state of Wisconsin, we undid their billionaire attack. We got Scott Walker out of the governorship. We got the people in charge of the offices that matter, and it's happening every day more and more. This state is moving in a progressive direction. Forward. And brothers and sisters, we are not done yet. Now, I know everything that's going on. I know how difficult it is. I know how challenging these times are, and I know exactly how people felt after the November election and how they felt in January, and everybody in Washington, D.C. was overwhelmed. They didn't know what to do, except for Mark Pocan. But they were all overwhelmed. They did not know what to do. And the interesting thing is, there were a couple of town meetings in the state of Wisconsin. Glenn Grothman had a town meeting. And so did Scott Fitzgerald, same weekend. And everybody in Washington was amazed because hundreds and hundreds of Wisconsinites showed up to say, we didn't elect Elon Musk to take over our government. We didn't elect Elon Musk to fire public employees. We didn't elect Donald Trump or Elon Musk to attack Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Those Wisconsinites sent the message out. We didn't choose this, and we're not going to let it happen. And I know in those days it was difficult and complex, but we're in different days now. About a couple years ago, Bernie Sanders and I wrote a book, and we titled it, It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism. And they said, our publisher said, you know, that's a kind of risky title. Well, right now, brothers and sisters, this is what I will tell you. Everybody is angry about oligarchy because they understand when the richest man in the world is deciding the direction of our government is going in the wrong direction. And so this is the deal. Every day, more and more people show up to protest against what is happening. And their message is getting louder and louder and louder. 2 days ago, Bernie Sanders went to Tempe, Arizona. They expected maybe a couple thousand people. They got 15,000 people. The next day with AOC, he went up to Greeley, Colorado, in a Republican congressional district that voted for Donald Trump. They expected a few thousand people. They got 11,000 people. And yesterday afternoon in Denver, Colorado, Bernie Sanders and AOC and the guy they just fired from the Federal Trade Commission, they spoke in front of the Capitol in Colorado, and they attracted 35,000 people. This is what I'm going to tell you, the only thing that you should take away from this. That was the largest rally that Bernie Sanders ever addressed. Bigger than his presidential campaigns, bigger than anything else he has ever done. Why is that happening? Because the people of the United States, working class people, are rising up to say, yes, it's okay to be angry about oligarchy. It's okay to say no to Donald Trump. It is okay to say workers over billionaires.
Listen, our members are out there every day working to protect the natural resources of this state that don't have a voice, as well as putting ourselves in harm's way to protect the people of this state. From fighting wildfires to holding polluters accountable for dumping chemicals in our drinking water, catching poachers shooting deer at night from the roads using thermal scopes just for the thrill, to rescuing victims of flash floods from the roofs of their homes on an airboat during a midnight thunderstorm. Our members answer that call. In 2011, public workers watched as a billionaire-backed politician attacked the working-class public servants of this state. From your neighbor who plows the street to the working mother who teaches my kids division, we wondered why. Now we know. Act 10 was the test run for Project 2025. The billionaires and their pet politicians attacked the working class to weaken us, to engineer a government takeover. And we've seen the long-term impacts play out. Our local schools closed, family farms on the brink of extinction. We see our wardens pulled out of field work to work in overcrowded state parks instead of catching the big polluters. DNR service centers closed in the rural areas of the state. Scientists fired, researchers cut, wildfires increasing as climate changes. The billionaires are trying to crush our rights to increase their profits. We won't be quiet. They count on silence and exhaustion. They count on compliance, but they do not count on resistance. Resistance is a crack in the wall, and cracks spread. Our local has grown in the last 2 years by 1,500%. Why? Why did it grow? Because they told us to sit down, and we stood up. Stand up, force power to respond, and overextend and show their weakness. Plant the seeds of change. A single act of defiance empowers the next. Today's resistance becomes tomorrow's movement. Refuse to accept defeat. Refuse to accept these attacks on federal workers. Stop the steal. Stealing from the working class to give to billionaires. And we refuse to let them buy our elections. It has never been more important to get out and vote for democracy. We stand in solidarity with our federal workers because we have seen this show before. And we refuse to let a South African billionaire buy our Wisconsin Supreme Court. And we refuse to punish our communities and the vulnerable to crater to the whims of a wannabe king with a bad spray tan. In Wisconsin, we say forward.
So I've been a nurse in Madison for over 35 years now, and in that time, I have seen the highs and the lows. And right now is a major low. As we saw with Act 10 demolished SEIU in Wisconsin. They have under attack so many of our basic rights, so many of the things we have paid into that are not rewards, but well-earned benefits, because we have paid for them. Yes. That's right. I represent the UW nurses, who at this point are only associated nurses because we continue to fight for their right to have a collective bargaining agreement. They almost struck 3 years ago. Their contract ends. They don't have a contract. Their memorandum of agreement ends September this year. So keep an eye out because they are continuing to fight. We went before the Supreme Court, had a bypass of the appeal, and we are waiting for a decision. We have to ensure in Wisconsin we maintain a just, non-purchased Supreme Court. Because, like many of you, SEIU Wisconsin finds it disgusting the hateful rhetoric coming out of Washington, D.C., and all of the demonizing executive orders that are being found under court to be unlawful. And we need to continue to make sure our courts protect us. We need to have voting rights, so vote no against the constitutional amendment. It's disgusting that we have to worry about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. What happened to our fair retirements? Our workers have worked. They deserve the right to rest after working. So today, let's make sure that people get out and vote. It is time for a spring election. We need to vote for people like Susan Crawford, Jill Utterly, and keep an eye out because in our school district, there's an awful lot of people supporting the vouchers program. Take a look and make sure you don't vote for them. We need to keep in mind that we need to fight for our families, for our friends, and for our co-workers, which means we need to talk our families, our friends, and our co-workers to get out and vote. Because when we fight, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And when we win, we dance.
I've been a Wisconsin public school teacher for over 25 years. My specialty is teaching high school students about American history, American government, and law. For most of that time, I've been a union representative and negotiator. My ability to do those things, to support my fellow teachers and make sure they have treated fairly, has withered away under Act 10, a law designed to starve unions to death. The man who wrote Act 10, taking away my right to unionize right now, occupies a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. The legislators who voted Act 10 into law are still in power, dominating the legislature with a supermajority. They are influenced by the wealth of those who want to crush all workers' right to unionize. I believe in the need for unions because I understand the power of government. I understand the power of money. Benjamin Franklin, speaking at the Constitutional Convention in 1787, yes, I am a history teacher and a government teacher. Ben Franklin explained that there are two passions that influence the affairs of human activities: the love of power and the love of money. Together, they corrupt people's minds and blind them to what's right and what's wrong. I don't tell my students what to believe. I teach them how to use good judgment and critical thinking to decide for themselves what to believe. I believe everyone, whether you're in the trades, or you're caring for the sick and elderly, or you're stocking shelves in the giant warehouse grocery store, or you're making coffee for a living, or even if you're serving people as a teacher, or a conservation warden, or a university police officer, everyone should have the right to organize into a union. When one union is crushed to death, all unions are in jeopardy. When unions are in jeopardy, all workers are vulnerable to abuse, mistreatment, and manipulation by their bosses.
An injury to one is an injury to all.
There are powerful people, leaders who have been consumed by their love of money and their love of power, who are ready to fight to take away our rights to unionize, who want to deny us due process and equal protection under the law. So now it's time for us to fight. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it wasn't enough that they went after public sector workers because it was all about divide and conquer. They took away the rights of public sector workers first. That wasn't enough. Then they went after private sector workers. What's so-called right to work, which we like to call forced or coerced to work for less, because that's the outcome. So you're going to hear from Rick Wraith, who is the business agent and Wisconsin political coordinator of Teamsters Local 120 and Joint Council 32, who also happen to have a semi back there in solidarity with the workers.
Thank you.
Yep.
This right here says it all very clearly. Thank you for the inclusion today. We are here for solidarity. We're here with SEIU and everybody else up here for state and public workers. Our area in Wisconsin before Act 10 had over 6,000 members. Our Wisconsin area now, 3,500, direct result of Act 10. One of the two people running for Supreme Court was one of Walker's cronies, if you recall. Stop him. We need to stop him. We need to get Crawford in.
Yes.
As Kevin said, when it comes to the private sector, we are local Teamsters Local 120, covering 5 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and now Wisconsin. We have over 15,000 members, public sector and private sector. We've got people in food production, warehousing, manufacturing, freight. In public sector, we have Metro Transit here in Madison. We've got Janesville Transit. Yes, I came out of Metro Transit myself. I call it home. We've got some of the La Crosse School District members. All of them are in solidarity here. La Crosse doesn't have that bargaining right because of Act 10. We need to get that back. Right to work, we call it right to freeload. Quite honestly, that's what it is. You get all the perks and everything without having to participate. It's a joke. Needs to go away. There's no question about that. In Minnesota 2 years ago, they flipped the House. We got a ton of stuff pushed through. We are actively waiting to do this in Wisconsin. That starts a week from Tuesday by ensuring Judge Crawford gets in and protects what we are doing as far as the lawsuit and everything else. We will be out campaigning in the next week and a half. UPS in Wisconsin will be doing the same thing. Going gate to gate, visiting with our members, educating our members, whether they're Republican or Democrat, we're educating on the union aspect. Together, we will succeed. All of us here together in unity will succeed. I want to thank you again. I want to thank my driver for coming down today. Thank you, David. Appreciate it very much. And I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Solidarity.
Solidarity!
Thank you, brother, and the Teamsters. You know, it wasn't enough with right to work, or what we say, forced to work for less, or right to freeload. Can you hear me now? All right. And as I said earlier, it wasn't enough. After going after right to work, or forced to work for less, or right to freeload, they went after the building trades next, taking away prevailing wage and project labor agreements, and the attacks kept coming. And we have David Betcher to speak on that. And he is the Vice President of IBW 159, representing public and private sector electricians. David.
So today you're going to hear from, you've already heard from, and you're going to hear more about how important this election is. And quite often you've heard people say, elections don't matter. It doesn't matter who you put in office. They're all the same. I'm going to give you the example that it does matter who gets elected. It does have an effect, and things can change. As you know, several members of the Dane County Board are union members, thanks to all your work. This week, on Thursday, there was a vote. The building trades members at Dane County, the employees, did not have union representation due to vagaries of those crazy rules from Act 10. Most times you'll find an employer who will fight against you when you try to unionize. They'll force you to have an election. They'll do captive meetings. They'll do all those types of things. You hear about it from the UW hospital constantly. But it matters when you elect people who believe in unions. Dane County Board on Thursday passed a resolution unanimously recognizing the Building Trades Union. That's what happens when you elect a local elected board that wants unions. You don't have to hold the elections. All you have to do is do the card check, and those elected officials will vote to give you a union. And that's what happened in Dane County, and that's what this election can do. So as we look at that Supreme Court seat saying that now you're going to have full union rights, also look down at your village trustees, look down at your city council members, look down at your school boards and say, if they believe in a union, once we take out Act 10, those boards will decide whether those employees get a union or whether they have to fight like they do at the UW. So vote in all the elections and tell your friends who say it doesn't matter who you elect. A unanimous vote by 37 people showed it did matter. Thank you.
Who amongst us would like to retire in dignity and have Social Security, Medicare, pension, you know, right? Well, that's right. And I'm going to say it is an entitlement because we're entitled to it. So, that's right. We all worked for it. So, we're going to hear from Russ Winkelbauer, who's the president of the Wisconsin Alliance of Retired Americans.
Hey, I see two types of people out here today. One type, people like me who are already retired. And a second type, the people that are hoping someday to be able to retire. And folks, believe me, we got a fight on our hands right now. Here at the Wisconsin Alliance for Retired Americans, we have about a little over 106,000 members here in the state and 4.4 million across the country. And like I said, we got a real fight on our hands. We worked hard. We built this country. Now the billionaires want to rip away our security. That's right. We paid our dues. Each and every one of you paid your dues. I paid in for over 50 years as I worked. We built this country. Now the billionaires want to rip away our security. Elon Musk, it's okay to boo, and his billionaire friends want to rob us blind. We spent our lives working, paying into Social Security, relying on public services like the USPS, and building a future for the next generation. What they want to do is privatize everything, which means higher costs, worse service, and fewer rights for seniors. Social Security, they want to cut it. These attacks on workers are attacks on seniors, retirees, and every American who depends on public services. Social Security, as Kevin told you, we earned it. Musk wants to destroy it. He calls it a Ponzi scheme. Can you believe that? You paid into it, I paid into it, our employers paid into it, and he's saying it's a Ponzi scheme.
Deport Musk.
You got that right. Social Security isn't a handout. It's our money. It's our retirement. It's our future. We paid in, and we expect to get what we earned. But Musk and his billionaire friends thinks we should fend for ourselves. They'd rather we gamble our retirement than have a system that guarantees our security. But we're going to let them know now, not on our watch.
Not on our watch.
We're fighting to protect Social Security and ourselves for our next generation. Thank you.
They're continuing to divide and conquer us. They're attacking immigrant rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, voting rights, civil rights, every kind of right they can think of they're talking about, except the far right. Those are their friends. And let's just say they're also attacking what binds us oftentimes together, workers' rights and the working class. So first, we have William Townsend, president of AFGE Local 1732, who represents VA hospital workers. And it would be remiss of me not to say this, but my brother's life was saved by these workers, and he says it was every worker that helped save his life at the VA here in Madison. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of my brother and all the people that you saved lives. Thank you.
All right. You know, it's almost a shame that we have to be out here today for this. And I can tell Elon what he can do with his chainsaw. But my name is William Townsend, and I'm the president of Local 1732 here in Madison, and I represent the employees at the VA hospital. And I am also a proud veteran, a combat veteran, and just like my brother Kelvin just stated, the VA saved my life and millions of other veterans' lives. Now, we have an administration out here and a secretary that says that, oh, we're going to cut 83,000 VA jobs. I find that a bit ironic considering that for decades the VA has been undermanned, underfunded, and overworked.
Exactly.
But yet and still, this man, Secretary Collins, is going to say, oh, don't worry, veterans. Nothing's going to happen. Your benefits are going to be fine. Your health care is going to be fine. How is my health care going to be fine if you're cutting 23,000 positions? That's not right.
That's not right.
And for somebody that called veterans suckers and losers, for someone that didn't have the courage to strap up and boot up like some of us, how dare he cut away or take away my benefits and the benefits of millions of Americans in this country? It kind of makes me mad, but that's okay. I digress. But I'm not going to stay long, but all I want to say is that I appreciate everybody that's out here today supporting veterans and supporting veterans care. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have another federal government employee who represents the Social Security workers, and we know how important that is just hearing from Ross. Jessica LaPointe, president of AFGE Council 220. Jessica.
Thank you, Kevin. You guys hear me okay? So my name is Jessica LaPointe. I represent Social Security's nationwide and field offices as their Council 220 president. We also represent workers on the 1-800 number and our workload support units that handle the internet claims at the agency. So we administer all of your earned Social Security benefits to you all, and we're doing it right now under siege. We have an acting commissioner appointed by the President of the United States that threatened to shut our agency down yesterday and completely stop benefits that you all have earned because he didn't like a judge's decision to get the Department of Government Inefficiency out of our systems.
Get it out. Kick it out.
It's crazy. We're in crazy times, you guys. It appears the administration is doing everything they can to undermine the public's confidence in the integrity, legitimacy, and future of Social Security. In recent weeks, they have called Social Security a Ponzi scheme riddled with hundreds of billions in fraud that supposedly only they can find. With unprecedented access to Americans' most sensitive information, they have announced the closing of at least 50 Social Security offices serving our communities, while forcing elderly and disabled Americans to go to offices that may not be there because they have eliminated services on the 1-800 number. They are slashing SSA's historically understaffed workforce by at least 7,000 workers through buyouts, layoffs, resignations, and terminations, which will lead to longer service delays, systems failures, and even inevitably benefit disruptions. They are running roughshod over workplace flexibilities and employee rights, exacerbating the chaos, confusion, and anxiety felt by workers under siege. Taken together, the administration and DOGE are destroying the public's ability to access timely and effective service from the Social Security Administration, with the intent, let's be real about their intent, of turning the American people against Social Security. Are we going to let that happen? No! Let us be clear. The goal is to take away America's earned benefits. It doesn't matter that we've all paid into the Social Security pot our entire working lives based on the promise of a safe and secure retirement protected from the volatility of the stock market. The administration is trying to break that promise in order to give Social Security away to Wall Street and to fund the tax cuts of the richest 0.1%. Are we going to let that happen? No! The administration and its allies know that the federal unions, our unions, are effective watchdogs protecting public's interests. Who are we? AFGE. The latest attempt by the president And Senators Blackburn and Lee and the House Oversight Committee want to eliminate federal unions. Because they know we are the ones standing between them, the public's earned benefits, and the forces that seek to undermine them. We must not let them topple us. We are all that stands between the president's billionaire cronies and the American people's earned benefits. So we have to keep fighting because Social Security, you've earned it. Thank you.
My name is Carl Heltman. I'm at the Forest Products Lab in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're part of the National Federation of Federal Employees, which is also affiliated with IAM. So go IAM, brothers. All right. I also am standing here. You know, we have the Forest Products Lab, which is a large facility over by the VA, but I also am standing here representing the 20,000 Forest Service employees that are in our union. Forest Service people do all of that kind of work on the ground in our forests. Let's be clear what's going on here. This is actually a lot like Hungary. This is a lot like Russia. What they want to do is they want to break our government and sell off the pieces to their cronies. Our forests should not be for sale. So, I wanted to actually take a little bit of a step sideways here and ask you something. Do you know this document? It starts out, "We the people of the United States of America." Does it say "we the billionaires"? No! About a month ago, or a little more, I got what looked like spam email from OPM, Office of Personnel Management. It said, "Fork in the road." Here in Wisconsin, we have a chance to show them what the fork in the road looks like. Yes. This is our chance. Susan Crawford, Brad Schimmel, which of the forks do you choose? Absolutely. This is not just some pretend thing. Now think about it. What goes through Donald Trump and Elon Musk's minds? Well, okay, granted, maybe they don't have a mind. But do you have an idea why Elon is spending tens of millions of dollars to fight against Susan Crawford? Why? Because that is how he's going to buy the state of Wisconsin. When he starts spending $100 a vote, isn't that illegal? You would think. If we could. All right. I'm just going to leave you with this. This is what democracy looks like.
You know, there's another speaker that's going to be speaking, Daryl English, president of AFGE Local 777, who represents the TSA workers who had their rights stripped away, just stripped away like that by saying their collective bargaining contract won't be honored. So we're here to give Daryl and the TSA just a big support, soldering support, because they really got hit hard. Daryl, we respect what you do and your members do. Please come up here and we're here in solidarity.
Just like Kevin said, a few weeks ago, we received notice from our to TSA headquarters that our contract that we signed just last year was going to be voided out. Not only that, in the word in the language they said, they also said that moving forward, that TSA will never be able to have be unionized again. Now, this administration, as we all know, is not union friendly. So I just want you guys to know that TSA is now in the fight with you guys. We're here. We cover Illinois and Wisconsin, but nationwide, officers are with you guys, making sure that our rights is going to be protected. Just because they may have temporarily taken away our union rights doesn't mean that we're not assisting our officers. We're there still working to make sure our officers are protected, making sure their seniority is protected, making sure their leave is protected, and making sure the federal officers across this nation's rights are protected. Now and again, this fight is going to be a long fight. And I don't want anybody to think that, we're looking for a quick way out. We're ready to fight. We've been ready to fight. So again, I want you guys to realize, and the federal officers behind us, the agencies behind us, that we're in this fight together. We know it's going to be a long fight, but we're here. All the officers in Illinois and Wisconsin across the country is with you. And we want you guys to remember and know this. As this time and these fights go on, it's going to be a long and troublesome thing. But we're going to be here with you. We're going to always be fighting with you. And we're not afraid to stand up. Because this is the fight right here. There is no tomorrow if we don't stand up today. So we don't look for any handouts because we got our handouts right here. You guys right here, our brothers and sisters, is going to be with us, and we're not afraid to stand up and let you guys know that we're in with you with solidarity. I'm not going to hold a lot of time up. I'm glad you guys invited us here, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. I want to thank you guys for, also I have my Executive Vice President, Christine Vitale here, who's taking the photos with us. And again, TSA is in this fight with you guys. Thank you.
Don't forget to thank your TSA agent when you're taking that flight, too. They're not used to it, and they like it. That's right. Next, we have Jason Anderson. He is the International Vice President of AFGE, representing federal workers throughout Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan, and a rank-and-file member coming out of the rank-and-file himself. Jason.
It's so great to see everybody here today. Thank you so much. Solidarity is amazing. We're going to continue to grow these voices. My apologies. All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. All right. So this past Thursday, Trump issued a memo attempting to give OPM the power to fire federal employees even after probation, a power that currently belongs solely to the agencies. This would give OPM the power to fire non-probationary federal employees for quote-unquote conduct or character, allowing this administration to remove anyone for any reason simply by calling their character into question. And we all know what that means. Looking at your Facebook posts and seeing who you support and who you don't support. Looking at your social media, looking through your emails. They're going to say, oh, your character, your loyalty to this country is called into question. We need to remove you from your employment. It also gives Elon and Doge a way to circumvent the courts that have been upholding the law, repeatedly siding with AFGE and our allies by overturning this administration's illegal actions against federal employees on the basis that OPM does not have the authority to make those decisions. That's how tyranny works. If the law doesn't work for the tyrant just changes the law. And people who don't know any better go along with it because they believe the tyrant has the power. But we're a union. We are union. We know our power. It doesn't come from the law. Our power comes fundamentally, it comes from us. It comes from our strength in numbers. It comes from us standing together, working together, resisting together. It comes from us deciding to be a union and staying a union even when they tell us we're not. There was no law that created the labor movement. It was the labor movement who created the law. These tyrants will do everything they can to bring us to our knees, exhaust and traumatize us, fire us, force us into offices that don't have enough chairs and tables for us to work at, strip us of our contracts and bargaining rights. They want us to be too confused and afraid and tired to use our power just long enough that we forget we even have it. They don't want us showing up at their town halls. They don't want us tanking Tesla's profits. They don't want us using our power ourselves. They want us to fold like certain members of Congress did just last week, shrugging our shoulders and saying, there's nothing we can do. These members of Congress might not know this, but we know this. The union knows this. Even the tyrant knows they cannot take that power from us. They can only convince us to give it up. We will continue to educate our communities, to mobilize our neighbors and allies, to make our collective voice so loud that these tyrants know that the working people of this country are in this fight today, tomorrow, and every day, even after our fight is won. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Right. And our final speaker today is standing up and fighting back when our democracy is under attack. And that is union member out of the Painters Union and U.S. Congressman Mark Pocan. Mark.
It is great to be with so many people fighting for workers in Wisconsin every single day. Thank you for being here today. Unfortunately, Donald Trump isn't thanking federal employees, he's shanking federal employees. We have 5,800 federal employees here in the 2nd Congressional District, 18,000 in the state of Wisconsin. And right now, what we're seeing happen is directly out of Project 2025. They put it on paper, they denied they had anything to do with it, and now they're executing every comma, every period, every space of Project 2025. I am getting record numbers of calls in our office, literally thousands of calls every single week. People are pissed. They're upset about cuts to the Veterans Administration. They're upset about what's happening with the Social Security Administration. They're upset about Medicare and Medicaid potential cuts. They're upset about cuts to agriculture and education. And all of these cuts are about a transfer of wealth, stealing from the middle class and those aspiring to be in the middle class, and giving a $4.5 trillion tax cut to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. In there, they're going to cut $1.5 trillion specifically, they've outlined, to things like Medicaid. Medicaid is health insurance and long-term care for 1.3 million people in Wisconsin. That's 1 out of 3 kids in Wisconsin gets their health insurance from Medicaid. That's 45% of adults with disabilities living independently in their homes. 55% of our seniors in nursing homes, like my mom in her final years, are getting assistance from Medicaid. They want to cut the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The #1 program that keeps kids out of poverty, that's $6.20 a day in assistance for food. They want to cut education by 45%. And they want to end the subsidies to the Affordable Care Act so fewer people will have access to health insurance. And most recently, even though it's not part of the reconciliation bill they're moving for the tax cuts, trust me, I guarantee they are going after your Social Security as well. We have heard Elon Musk call it a Ponzi scheme. We heard the President in the State of the Union repeat falsehood after falsehood after falsehood about people 110, 120, 150, up to 360 years old supposedly getting Social Security. That's been disproven by 2 Inspector General reports that it's a complete line of bullshit. And he spent a lot of real estate laying out that bullshit. And most recently, his Secretary of Commerce said people could go a month without their Social Security check, and if you couldn't, you were a fraudster. Look, the fraudster is Donald Trump, and the fraudster is Elon Musk. I've introduced a bill in Congress to kind of go after what's going on with Elon Musk right now. Elon Musk has basically got unlimited potential to turn on and off the federal spigots of money, to fire employees that Congress has no direct recourse right now because of the majority that's there. And the bill we've introduced is called the Eliminating the Looting of Our Nation by Mitigating Unethical State Kleptocracy. If you need a little help, that's called the Elon Musk Act, all right? And that's going to stop him. He has $3 billion right now in federal contracts. He makes $8 million a day from the federal government, and the average person on Social Security is seeing $65 a day. So here's the good news. Here's what we can do. One, I've been going around into this neighboring congressional district to the west, doing some town halls lately. And where members, Republican members, are afraid to confront their constituents. Look, if they were really proud of what they're doing, don't you think they'd want to get on the rooftop and scream about it, right? Instead, they're hiding in their basements. So we're helping them out doing that. But here's what each and every one of us can do. In just 10 days, on April 1st, the most consequential election in the country to send a message will occur. And we have a chance to either elect a fair jurist to the Supreme Court, or we elect a partisan hack that's been funded by Elon Musk to the tune of something so far like $15 million, trying to buy a Supreme Court candidate. We have to do everything we can to get out our friends, our family members, our coworkers, our neighbors, anyone that's on our contact list on our phone, to make sure they know to get out on April 1st. Because if we do that, we send the message that Elon Musk and his money doesn't win. So can we do that? Yeah! Can we all get out and vote on April 1st? Yeah! Are we going to make sure that we're going to elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court and Jill Underly as our superintendent of schools? Yeah! Damn right. And finally, I have two last words for Elon Musk, words that I wish Donald Trump would say more often. He used to. And those two words, Elon Musk, you're fired. Thank you.